Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Sylvia and I make videos on planning with occasional review. Today's video is going to be a setup of February 2021 in my Moterm Standard Traveler's Notebook. Now I've already done an actual setup of what is all inside of my Moterm, and I also have a video on the anatomy of this notebook in case you are interested. So I did go ahead and set up my DIY fish insert. You can see here in my last video. So this is all set and ready to go for February. It's one of two inserts that I have inside of this dashboard. So the second insert you have seen also, this is the newer version of the Ink Imperfection and Paper and Cats collab. And it has not only the tracker, but also the monthly as well. We're going to be focusing on this third insert, which is a grid insert, and this is one that came with my notebook. You can buy refills on Amazon or directly from Moterm. Now this is a ruler that I absolutely love. It's a magnet, so not only can it fold in half, but it's also able to use as a page holder. And I got this from Jet Pens, so I will try to remember to link it down below, but I love how you can open it and it becomes longer, so you can use it in an A5 bullet journal, but also it can fit in a standard. So I basically want to set up a bullet journal in my traveler's notebook, and I want monthlies, weeklies, and dailies. I don't know which one I'm going to use the most. Now, I thought I would go ahead and go with a monthly that I've seen by Brian Hazard. I think that's his name. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I will link his channel down below. So he has this thing that he calls the Frankenlog, and it's sort of like a mashup of different things, starting off with what writer Carol originally did, where you have a monthly on the left hand side and then your tasks on the right hand side. Now he does his a little bit differently. He sets it up and he uses the alphabet to go ahead and mark down tasks. So each task gets a letter in the alphabet, and then that way when you set up your monthly on that day, you can go ahead and put A, and then when you look at what A is, you'll know what task you did on that day, which I think is kind of cool. It's hard to explain. It's easier when you have something on the page so that you can see it. And again, I will link his videos down below because I found them very interesting. I haven't watched them in a while. I know he has new videos up, and I'm interested to see how this has evolved. But I think that I'm going to kind of take from the Frankenlog system and sort of use what he's already done, but kind of make it my own. So I like to take what I like and leave what I don't. And I think that people should do the same when they're watching my videos. If you see something that you like, but you're not really interested in doing the entire thing, it's like leave what you don't. No worries there. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set up a regular Rita Carol kind of style of a monthly log. And I'm just counting out here the squares so I can put lines to divide the weeks. I feel like that is very important to me so I can see when the week is going to end. Brian is very much a minimalist, so he likes to use the alphabet as signifiers instead of using color coding. So it's very much like the lack of color. You just want to use one pen and one notebook. And I thought that that was a really cool system because I'm always, I'm interested in new things, but also sometimes I just can't be bothered to use color. I don't try to do that on purpose, but sometimes I just can't be bothered to use my highlighters. So I thought that this would be a really cool experiment for me as a planner. So the way that Brian sets up his Frankenlog is a little bit different than mine. His is a little bit more structured. He has a lot more lines that he creates. I'm a lazy planner, so if I can kind of just, do minimalist, I will do that, and I don't want to draw in all of the extra lines. So when you watch his video, you'll see the differences. He also likes to use that little star signifier I already have up on the top. He has one, but I think he might use like 6 different lines to make a star. I only used 3, and then each one of those lines, as you will see a little bit from now, becomes a task. So every time you get a full star, it means you've done everything that you were supposed to for that day and you get a star. So I'm just going to set up the tasks here. Now I've seen him do a couple of different things where he has a column for his tasks, and then in another video I saw him kind of do the getting things done by David Allen method, where instead of tasks at the top, he would write errands, and then he'd make another column for work and then another column for something else. So it was a way to have your collections or your action lists right there next to your monthly log, which I thought was really cool. But I thought, well, since I already have lists for those things, maybe I would go ahead and make 2 task lists, or 2 task columns rather. And so the way I'm going to do that is I set it up A through Z, and then I move over to the second column, and I'm also going to set that up A to Z, but I'm going to put a line under it so that I can know the difference between the first task list of A's and the second task list. And then the third one, I'm going to go ahead and make for my social media, and I'm going to go ahead and put 2 lines under the alphabet letters. That way I know the difference between the other 2. Does it sound confusing? It's really not. Once I start to work on this more, and I've been using it for a while, I will come back and do an update so that I can explain it a little bit more. But again, it's Brian's system, and I think he explains it really well. So I highly recommend you checking out his channel and watching a couple of his videos. It's really cool to see how it's evolved. I think you might call this one the Frankenlite. Which was a little bit easier than setting up the other one where it was like a small calendar, which was a lot more drawing. And again, I'm all about minimalism, so I really liked having the Frankenlite instead. I'm also recommending the audiobook that I am currently listening to. It is so good. It's called Every Day. It's a YA novel. Now, I do realize at this point that I've written task 2 1 row too low, and then social media as well. So I do go ahead and erase it and move it back up 1. So if you haven't noticed, I am using a friction pen in a 0.5, and so I can do that, which is really great. If not, I would just, cover it with whiteout or some washi tape. And right here, I'm kind of struggling to put 2 lines under each letter so I can tell the difference between this column and the other 2. I also have seen, I believe, I don't know if it was Brian or not, because I've watched a lot of bullet journaling, but if you didn't want to use lines, you can also use dots above the letter, so like 1 dot or 2 dots or 3 dots to tell the difference between your different columns. And again, I am using my Tombow because I wanted a little bit of color. They're just sitting there staring at me like, please use me. So I thought I would for this video. I like a little bit of fun color here and there. I don't mind that, but it's when it starts to become like a task when I'm just like, oh, I can't keep up with it. And I like to use my Sarasa dry pen instead of the friction, because I find that with this Sarasa dry pen, it doesn't clog up when I write over the Tombow, whereas some other pens do. I don't know what they pick up, just like a little bit of it, even if it's dry. It's so weird. And then they don't write the same after that. And here I am moving up the star too, so that I can know that that's where my signifiers go. And here I go putting in that key I was talking about for the signifier, and I really didn't know what to put here because I have so much tracking going on in this traveler's notebook this year that I'm already tracking all 3 of these things, but I thought, well, I'll just write them down because they're 3 major things that I hope to do every single day if possible. So I wrote them down, and I'm going to keep track of them there just to see how I like that. So this is all set and ready to go. Now I can just go ahead and list out my task 1s. I think I'm going to do maybe everything that's in the house, and then task 2 will probably be errands, anything that's outside of the house. So here I sped this up a bunch just because I've never done this before and I had to count everything out, but I wanted to do a weekly, kind of like the Hobonichi cousin has. I really love that weekly. It's the same weekly setup that's in the Jibun Tacho that I always use and love, and I didn't get that this year because I had a Hobonichi instead, but since that's used for writing, I thought I can draw this out. I know I can. Now, this is a lot more work than my minimalist self wants to do, but I figure that you only have to do it once a week, and the more I do it, the faster it's going to become. And once you have a layout, you can just count it out very simply after that. It's just, you know, first time is always the hardest, right? So I like to use this for categories. Most people always ask me, why do you do this if you already have like a tracker, like the DIY fish one that I already have, where you can make it into a Gantt chart? And the answer is I like to write down a number of things for certain categories. So, for instance, when I read, I like to write down who I'm reading, what the book's name is, and also I like to write down how many pages I've read. I can't do that in a regular tracker because you only get, one little box and it's just a check off that you did it for the day. So, I find that keeping something like this, just to keep track of some of the categories in my life that I like to know what I'm doing and what I've done for, works the best for me. This is also information that people like to keep in their dailies, but like I've mentioned, I'm not always an everyday kind of girl. I have struggles with dailies all of the time. I fall off. I start off strong, especially at the beginning of the month. Towards the end of the month, when I'm trying to get a lot done, I find that I love dailies because I really do need them to write a lot of stuff down. But the reality is, for the most part, when I'm trying to keep track of things like this, I prefer to have a vertical weekly like this. And I thought I'd add some color on there because why not? I don't know if I'll do one of these every single week in February, but I thought for at least the first week I wanted to try it out. If it doesn't work, the beauty of a bullet journal is next week I can do a different weekly, or I can scrap weeklies altogether for next week. It just depends. Now all I have to do is go to the top and write in what categories I want to track for the week. And I'm happy we're getting to the end of this video because my voice is cracking because it's late here. Sorry. So TWT is just the writer's table, which is my Facebook group. Swap is this channel, Sylvia with a Plan. And SSW is Sincerely Sylvia Writes, which is my other writing YouTube channel. And then cleaning, and of course the other part, this is where I am looking up in my Hobonichi cousin what week it is of the year, and it's week 5. And then we have cooking as a category and reading. So now there is a nice box of space for me to put in a little bit of memory keeping also, because sometimes with my reading I can put in that there was a funny quote or something like that. I also sometimes like to keep track of what TV shows or movies I'm watching, because sometimes I fall off on TV shows and I forget that we are, like, usually my niece and I are watching something together, or, with the pandemic, a lot of the shows that we watched, they came back a little bit later than they normally do. So, I forgot about them. And that is how I'm going to set up my daily. It's just the month, the day, and the year. And then I usually put if it's a Monday, Tuesday through Sunday. So that's everything. I hope you have enjoyed this video. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I hope that this was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.